33.
Well, today was the NFL trading deadline, and we'll get into that with John McClain. We did have a request earlier in the show, Craig, from Joseph Duarte, also employed by the Houston Chronicle, to not allow John McClain to talk about the Bears and Longhorns. But when I just talked to John as we got him on the air, that request unfortunately cannot be fulfilled. John, Bears and Longhorns on Saturday, your thoughts on that game?
It was a tremendous performance. And it's amazing to me how much better the Bears have gotten on the offensive and defensive lines, which is a credit to the coaches, credit to the players, of course. But, man, they're so much better than they were last season. And Gary Bohannon, my goodness, the improvement he's made has been tremendous. But to whip those Longhorns, and the only good thing that comes from a poll assassin is Steve Sarkisian does not have to talk about getting his butt kicked by Baylor in Waco, because now everybody's going to be asking him about his special teams coach and the poll assassin.
Yes, I would say that's the first time Pole Assassin's been mentioned on the show, but that would be a lie. we definitely have talked about that as well. What a wild story out of Austin. No, it was a good win for Dave Aranda. He's obviously getting a lot more attention, and deservedly so, John. I am curious, though, your thoughts on something that's like really rattled a lot of coaches. I mean, Aranda yesterday in his press conference was nearly, in tears, talking about Gary Patterson's firing from TCU. I heard Lincoln Riley talking about it today. He wasn't happy. Matt Campbell, same thing. Seems pretty much across the board. Your thoughts on TCU and Gary Patterson splitting ways after 2 decades?
I have great respect for Gary Patterson and what he did with the Horned Frogs, but considering the rivalry that TCU and Baylor have, I even beating Texas, to me, is not as big a deal as beating the Horned Frogs, because Patterson had them so good in that 1 year when Baylor got shafted and went into conference, and I just thought that he did a great job, and I'm sorry he's gone, because it won't be nearly as much fun to beat TCU as it was with Patterson there. And it's going to be interesting. What if TCU hired Sonny Dykes from SMU? And what if SMU hired Gary Patterson to replace him? We would have a old-fashioned controversy in the Metroplex. But Patterson's going to coach again. You don't know where. He's got the ties in Texas. Would Texas Tech be interested in him? They're talking about Dykes there, but he will land on his feet somewhere. I'm pretty confident it'll be in Texas, if not someplace close by.
John, I'm curious. I know you're not, an NFL scout by any means, but I mean, you've seen a lot of guys come and go. What are your thoughts on Jalen Petrie at the next level?
Well, first of all, I, along with every Baylor fan, has special affinity for Petrie because he was the only recruit that didn't bail on Baylor in the scandal, and he stuck it out. Every time I see him make a play, he's going to have to play safety. He's too small to play linebacker. But if he runs well, because we know his toughness, we know his intelligence, and if he runs well when he gets to the combine, I could see him going in like the 3rd round. Now, there's a lot of time left.
Right.
Maybe he's got a chance to go up higher, but I can't tell you how much I appreciate Jalen Petrie. And I talk about that down here on my shows because he's from here, and every Baylor fan should have a special place in their heart for Petrie.
All right, John, for the NFL trade deadline, which there are a couple big things that happened. Obviously, Von Miller. Today, nothing really. I mean, Charles Omenihu was traded from the Texans for a 6th-round pick to the 49ers. But the biggest thing that didn't happen was Deshaun Watson. Is what cooled that other than the pending cases against him?
That was it. They had everything worked out. Watson had to reach settlements with the 22 accusers. The Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, insisted on that. They thought they had a deal a week and a half ago. They were ready to go, and Ross said, nope, I want it cleared up. And at that point, Watson had not done it. He didn't want to reach settlements. People close to him tell me that he thought that was an admission of guilt. But then when the deadline got close, he agreed to do it. And I don't know if his accusers asked for more. I'm not sure what happened, but he did not reach agreements in enough time. So now, truthfully, they were going to get 3 1s and a 3 and a 5 is what I was told. Now, if he gets those settlements done in the off season, teams are going to line up to get Watson, and they may get more than that because there's going to be so many teams that want him. The key is he's got a no-trade clause. He told them, I won't go anywhere but Miami. If Tua Tagovailoa starting Sunday against the Texans plays well over the last 9 games, maybe he proves to his coaches and his owners, hey, I'm worth the 5th overall pick in 2020 that you thought I was. And so maybe the Dolphins drop out. Then where's he going to go? Philadelphia. If the draft were right Sunday, Philadelphia would have 3 first-round picks in the top 9. Wow. And the Eagles wanted Watson, but he said, nope, I'm not going to Philadelphia. So he's going to have to come up with a couple more teams. Carolina, Denver, Philadelphia, and Miami have been the 4 teams that have showed the most consistent interest, but I don't have to worry about it until March 16th. That's when the new league year begins. You can make trades again. Free agency starts. And I tell you guys, I've been talking about this for 10 months, and I'm glad nobody's going to want me to talk about Watson until probably about March the 10th.
I can only imagine, John. I can only imagine. Yeah, that'll be a nice little break. So Von Miller, to the Los Angeles Rams. The rich get richer. Your thoughts on the move for the former Texas A&M star? He was obviously very emotional and very, open in his feelings towards the city of Denver and that fan base. I thought that was really nice. But your thoughts on him heading to the Rams?
He's been treated like royalty there since he was our number 1 pick in 2011. Won a Super Bowl, was the MVP. And now he goes from a mediocre team to a great team. I just saw the Rams beat the Texans 38-22 in a game that was not that close. They already got a good pass rush with Aaron Donald, who had 1.5 sacks, and Leonard Floyd, who had 2. Now you put Von Miller on that defensive line. He can't be double-teamed because Aaron Donald gets double-teamed on every play. And if you're doubling him, you can't double both of the outside rushers. So the Rams at some point are going to have to pay the piper for getting rid of all these number 1 picks, and guys make a lot of money, but they're going all in. I've just seen them and the Cardinals in back-to-back weeks against the Texans, and I think the Rams are a better team, especially since the Cardinals have an injured Kyler Murray and they lost J.J. Watt for the season, and of course their Green Bay is the number 3 team with 1 loss in the NFC. It is a great conference. I thought in the Cowboys, they just got 1 fewer victories. And the NFC is so much better than the AFC right now. And then there's Tampa. Tampa just got beat at home. We got beat in New Orleans by the Saints, and they certainly didn't look like a team trying to win back-to-back Super Bowls. But the NFC is going to be fun. And if Dak Prescott can come back healthy and stay healthy, the Cowboys are contender to get home field advantage, and if he doesn't stay healthy, fans got to feel better about Cooper Rush.
I was just going to ask you about Cooper Rush, John, and how he, he's on 2 passes in his career, and that was pretty darn good showing on Sunday night.
Well, he's no Mike White from the Jets who threw for 405 yards in his first career start, but Rush shocked everybody because if you watch Hard Knocks, as a lot of us did, you thought, okay, they got a problem at backup quarterback. And then what they did was go to Minnesota, win, put 1 more nail in Mike Zimmer's coffin as the Vikings head coach, and people could rest easy. It was such a big deal for the Cowboys to not have Dak Prescott and still win that game over a good team on the road.
John, what was the reasoning behind Charles Omenihu and his trade from the Texans, just about acquiring picks at this point?
Well, it was he didn't have a sack. He started 2 games, come off the bench in 2, bench for 2, came back the last 2. He had some pressures, but no sacks. Okay. And at this point, he's got to feel so happy he gets to go live in Northern California. And the 49ers are probably going to finish last in their division, but they're still a lot better than the Texans. And he gets a shot at his former team in the next to last game of the season in Santa Clara.
All right, John, thanks a lot. Again, we'll talk to you. Anything else? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do. John, a little game tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
How are you feeling about
the World Series?
Game 6? Astros down 3-2. Obviously got that big win, had to win in game number 5. Despite the grand slam in the first inning, they still, come from behind to win that game. How are you feeling?
I thought they were going to lose when they hit the grand slam. I was sure they were going to lose, and then they came back to win. This has been a very resilient team for quite a while. They're starting a rookie pitcher on 3 days rest. But starting pitcher is no big deal anymore. Some guy that pitches a 6th inning gets a win, and by the time it's over, the managers have used so many pitchers, you forgot who that was. It's one reason the games are 4 hours long. I hope the Astros win to force the 7th game. And I'll tell you this, if they lose to the Braves, that's okay with me. I just didn't want it to be with a whiny, pouty, constantly complaining, white wine sipping Dodgers.
Love it.
That's a good ender, John. We'll talk to you again next week. Enjoy the weekend.
The best ending of all, second Bears.
There you go, John McClain, Houston Chronicle, with us every Tuesday. When we come back, the top 5.
It's time for some high school football. Berg Colgan Ford proudly celebrates